Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to stay on the coolant trend, and we're going to be installing another vent on the hood above the radiator. So I picked up this vent right here from TrackSpec Motorsports. Already cracked it open. They actually just had a scratch and dent sale, so I picked this up for like $100. One second. So this is what we're going to be installing. The sale said scratch and dent, but I can't find a scratch or a dent on this at all. It's pretty good quality. This is the GT350 duct. Comes with a stencil. I don't know if you can see it, but everything's perforated. Sorry for the noise, the air conditioning just kicked on. But it comes with the stencil, the vent, and some directions. Comes with all the rivets. So I usually don't follow directions, but it should be pretty self-explanatory to install. And it comes with rivets, but I'm probably going to end up using bolts. So that's a trip to Home Depot maybe later on tonight or tomorrow. But basically on the car, I kind of just put two pieces of tape on there, one from hood latch to hood latch, because these are pretty much even, and then I went off the Honda emblem for the center line, and that's pretty even. I believe from here to here it's 24 and 15/16 on both sides, so that is pretty straight. I measured from the edge of the radiator right here to the edge of the hood, and that was about 11 3/4. So I marked from here to this little line right here. I have 11 3/4. So right now I'm about to just grab the stencil and kind of figure out exactly where I want to get it. I do want the vents close to the radiator so it can vent the heat out, and also the exhaust manifold. It's going to be like right up in this area. So let me grab that real quick and try to line it up. Alright, so I went through and got all these cut out. Allow yourself some time, because I had to go through with an X-Acto knife and cut all these out, because they're perforated but they don't punch out easy, so you have to actually go through and cut each one. So that's done. I went through and measured the hood in several spots to get the exact center line. So what I'm thinking is, since the radiator comes right here, grab this vent, I'm thinking of lining mine up with the bottom side of this tape, like that. Center line is going to be through this hole and this hole, so this isn't exactly straight right now. But if you look in here, so the radiator, the back of it will be like at the second vent. So then we'll have all these. I want to take a measurement to see how long this is, to actually see how far it goes back. Because if it's possible, I would like to have it forward of the coils, so water when it rains isn't just pouring on the coils. So I'm going to take a measurement of that real quick, and then we'll figure out exactly where we want this to sit, and we're going to tape down our stencil. Alright, so this is where I decided to put the vent. I was going to put it lined up with the top of the tape. That would have gave me the 25 inches up, so a little bit past the coils. Then I was going to do it down here, but I noticed the hood kind of contours down, and that hood vent doesn't have much give, so I decided to do it at the bottom edge of the tape, and that's going to put me like right at the coils. So if it does rain and I'm at an event, I could just put a piece of duct tape over the last vent and it'll prevent water from going in, but I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Also, I marked off the hood hinges on both sides, because I'm going to take the hood all the way off, because last time when I cut the BYC ones, metal shavings got everywhere, and you know, they got wet and they kind of left little rust dots everywhere. But I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to take a marker and mark each one of these dashes, and then I'm probably just going to cut it along each side, and then I'll take this off and then kind of line up the edges, like round it out, and then we'll test fit the hood vent and see how that fits. So I have the hood set up on some sawhorses. I went through and marked each one with a black marker. So I'm going to try to cut this in the center as possible because I don't want to come too far out to this edge because I still need room for the bolt holes. So I'm going to cut it. I'm not taking the paper off because I don't think I'm going to need to use this again. But before you get to this step, make sure you double check everything because this is the point of no return. So definitely wear your safety goggles. I just made supervisor at my other job and I have to do a presentation on PPE, which is personal protective equipment. And if you type in grinder accident, you wouldn't believe how many people got these blades stuck in their face. So definitely wear safety glasses. Alright, so we have 90% of it cut out now. Just came in with a little ruler and marked these edges right here. So I'm going to go back and cut the 4 corners, and then I'm sure we're going to have to flip the hood over and cut some of the webbing on the bottom. Yeah, you can see pretty much a lot of that's going to have to get cut out. So let me continue doing this. Alright, so the top side's cut out. It's really hard to see the front edge here because, you know, this has like a big gap in it. But pretty much I could see I have to cut through here to get this loosened. This is pretty good here. I gotta cut a little bit right here in this corner. I believe this is the mark right here for the front edge. So I'm pretty much probably just going to cut across here and here and just kind of work my way back, or I'm going to try to put a brand new grinder blade in and flip it over. Alright, so I got the main portion cut out. So I'm going to cut a little bit more out on the underside. I pretty much just drew a black line where I want to cut it because this isn't all the way up to the front. So I want to make sure I'm able to reach the back when I put the bolts on. So I'm pretty much just going to cut all this underskin off. I'm not going to touch the actual hood. That way, when I do put this on, and I'll have plenty of room to bolt it, because when I put these BYC ones in, you can see I like had to go underneath of it, and like some of them, the bolts wouldn't reach. So once I take the BYC vents out, I'm going to come back and cut some of this extra webbing out on these also. Like right here, I'm going to bring this up further so I can put bolts in it, because the bolts I had weren't long enough. But anyway, let me get cutting and we'll pick this up afterwards when we test fit the new vent in here. Alright, so we ran into a little issue. The hood vent's not going in and sitting flush. It's because, see these right here? The hood's supposed to sandwich in between those and on the back side. So I guess you're supposed to slide the front end far enough and then the back side will drop in and slide it back and kind of center it. But on the front, it's hitting this bottom layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the front side, mark 2 lines on here, notch those out, and then hopefully that'll work. I'll show it to you once it's done. Alright, so I just notched it out a little bit more. Hopefully that'll slide up far enough to get the back side in. I don't know if I showed you how much metal I actually cut out the hood already. It's a good amount of weight compared to what it's going to be. So I'm going to flip this back over and try to test fit it again. Alright, so it's fitted now. It's pretty flush. It'll be a little bit better once we get some bolts in. I think I'm going to wait till the morning because it's already like 7:30 and it's starting to get dark. But I think I'm just going to start disassembling everything, take off this little carbon piece, these BYC hood vents, the arrow catches, take everything apart. So tomorrow I can go get all the bolts for this, all new bolts for this and that, and then have everything matching, because I don't want silver bolts here, black bolts there. I'm not sure whatever color they have, it doesn't really matter to me, but we're going to get a bunch of those. I'm going to wait to drill the holes in this until I get the bolts. So if I have to open up these holes a little bit more, then I can do that, but I don't want to open up the holes until I actually see what size bolts I get. So right now I'm just going to disassemble this. I'll probably clean this hood because I'm planning on wrapping it before I put everything back together. Alright, so I stripped out all the vents and hood latches and the little carbon thing for the tow hook. So I'm going to end up trimming all this stuff up a little bit more. Like, this was a real pain to get that bolt out. So I'm just going to cut around so everything's real easy accessible. Cut here, a little bit right here, and this one right here, just so it's easy to get to the back side of the bolts. So I'm going to cut this and cut this. So this is all the metal that came off the hood. Everything's cut. I just blew everything off with the compressor. So now I'm just going to grab some spray paint and go around all the bare metal. It's not going to look pretty, but I really don't care too much because it's not a show car. Eventually one day I'll paint the car. But let me take care of that, and then once that dries, go through and wash everything. Alright, so it's the next day. I wrapped the hood early this morning, probably like 6 o'clock. Went to Home Depot, picked up some 6/32 by 3/4 inch bolts, lock washers, regular washers, and some drill bits. The hood is not perfect by any means, but at least the car will be one color now. But my heat gun died, so I got a couple wrinkles in here that I wasn't able to get out. I tried to use a lighter, but that didn't really work too well. So basically all these vents are just sitting in here right now. So I'm going to start putting some of these bolts in. I'm probably going to have to drill these holes out in this TrackSpec a little bit bigger because it was meant to hold rivets. But basically I'm lining up the edges to make it even because it can go back and forth a little bit, and just kind of lining everything up so it looks centered. So this is pretty much how it's going to look. I still got to put the arrow catches in, but I'm going to get started on this now. Alright, so all 38 bolts are tightened up, and they didn't have nylock nuts this small, so I went through and put a little bit of hot glue around all the threads, so hopefully if they do back up a little bit, that'll help hold them from falling out. I'm not worried about this one falling out, but these ones don't have this locking thing on them, so these could possibly fall out, but they have washers and lock washers on them, so I think they'll be just fine. So right now I'm just going to go and try to get this hood on the car, and hopefully everything will line up the way it was. So it turned out just how I wanted it to. It's right behind the radiator, and I don't know if you can see, but the exhaust manifold, the edge of the head is right here, and the coils are right back here under that seam. But I love the way it looks. Car looks super aggressive now, especially with the front lip. I didn't make a video on that because I ordered this from a company a couple weeks ago. When it came, package was pretty much bent in half, so the lip was broken. So I fiberglassed this one back together. But anyway, this install was pretty much straightforward. It made it a lot easier to install that it came with a template, but I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. I'm glad I finally got around to wrapping the hood because it makes the car look so much better. But if you have any questions about this TrackSpec hood vent, they have a variety of different options. This one's called the GT350, and I think it fits perfect with the BYC vents. Don't think I need any more venting on the hood unless I go K-Series one day, put something up towards the top. cool off the exhaust manifold. But anyway, if you have any questions about the install, feel free to leave them down below, and like always, I'll get back to you. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.